Okay, so we're live. We're welcome to Social Media Fridays. Each week we meet to discuss what happened in the past 7 days in the world of social media. With us this afternoon, we have Masataki Wasa. Masataki is webmaster of wasaweb.net in the UK. He's also a Google top contributor on the AdSense forum and also in the Google Plus help community. Susan Dennis joins us from Seattle in the USA. Rumor has it that she taught Bill Gates how to program in BASIC. She doesn't work for Microsoft anymore, but she has had a webcam in her lounge room for the last 12 years, 24/7. And so since we're talking social, I figured that we'd had to get Susan along to talk about that, how that's been over the last 12 years. And Tony McCreath it's Website Advantage, isn't it, in Adelaide, Australia?
Yeah.
Website Advantage. In Australia, we don't have many gods, but apparently Tony is one of them. The first thing that we'll be talking about today is a new law that Vladimir Putin has signed into law. It's to require bloggers to register with the government. Apparently, the law is widely expected to give the Russian government an easier way to track and regulate online opinion and to deny registration to those it dislikes. Well, I'm glad Vladimir is not looking after Australia. I wouldn't last long. Under the new bloggers law, which goes into effect August 1, August 1, that's a long way away, Tony. Any site with over 3,000 daily visitors, I'd be let out. I've never had 3,000 visitors in my life. And a site with 3,000 daily visitors will be considered the equivalent of a newspaper, and the site will have to certify the accuracy of facts presented, as Russian newspapers are required to do. So, what are we going to what message are we going to send to Vladimir today, guys? And where is Tim Capper when you need him? Why didn't he alert us to this? I thought he was running the show over there.
Probably a secret agenda. So I get 3,000 daily does mean they're just targeting the big fish on that, I guess.
Well, if you're particularly anti-regime, I'm sure the security services can set up a few visitors to your blog to go over that threshold.
Yeah, how are they going to measure your daily visitors? Because are they going to have? Do they have control over the servers there and things, or how do you know?
Yes, I honestly don't know. I haven't ever hosted a server in Russia, but I imagine it would be fairly well controlled. Certainly in China, it certainly is. So I'm guessing that Russia would be along those same lines.
And I guess if they choose someone to target, they can always put a little monitoring on to find out the traffic, or force the host provider to provide details, like they do in the US.
Mm-hmm. I wonder how do you see Google treating this with Blogger, Masataki?
I don't know. doesn't Google usually comply with local laws? And Blogger now has country TLDs. So if you have blogspot.ru,
with the country Blogger stuff, is that you always get directed to your own country's domain?
Yeah.
So it's about the country of the reader, not the writer. So maybe if you have 3,000 international readers, you'll get away with it because you're in a foreign domain.
Or you're in bigger trouble.
Yeah. Because if you got foreign readers, they're not going to like you, are they?
Interesting. Like if you're on, say, blogspot.ru, if that is the CCTLD, I'm not sure what it actually is, but the posts on .ru are also on .com. So I wonder what that means. You know what I mean? Like Google, like for argument's sake, if blogspot.nl, if a page was legally not permissible in blogspot.nl, Google will take that page down, but they will not take down the page on blogspot.com, which is identical to it.
Which stops people in, say, Holland reading that article.
Well, maybe they do stop the .com from displaying in the Netherlands. That's true. I didn't realize. I didn't think of that. Yeah, they probably do that. Anyway. What's that music that we're hearing?
Well, that's my clock.
Oh, right.
Crap. I'll go turn it off. Hang on.
No. It's fine. It's fine. It's not a problem.
It's 11 o'clock. It's going to go for 11 more times.
Do they?
Oh, we'll survive, Susan. It won't hurt us. All right. So, do we have any more to talk about Vladimir Putin's latest edict?
I think with that, it implies it's going to be hard for them to actually police it because people can blog internationally. So I think they'll probably have a bit of trouble enforcing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
You go on, sorry, Mr. Tucky.
Yeah, I think actually enforcing it properly, catching everyone who meet that criteria will be difficult. But what the Russian government may do is to essentially make an example of a few to scare the rest of the blogging community, as it were. They might go for a few prominent bloggers, target them, to bring other bloggers in line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's no interest, guys, in all of us setting up a .ru blog. We could find a vacant block on Street View to give us our address. There's no interest in doing that.
I might want to go back to Russia one day.
All right. So, Susan, before we go on with the next topic, I'm very interested to hear what you want to tell us about what it's like to live under a webcam for a dozen years. Apparently, since 2002, you've been broadcasting your lounge room.
Yes.
I'd love to know all about it.
Well, most of the time there's not really much that happens. I started out initially because I read about somebody doing it and I wanted to see if I could make it work, and I did. And then about that time, my father had died recently, and my mother had gotten broadband connection for her computer, and she lived 3,000 miles away. So she was fascinated by being able to tune me in anytime she wanted to. So then I kept it up so that she could have something to look at on her computer. Then she wanted to, I had it facing me, so she wanted to see what I was looking at, so I had to put one behind me. And then she wanted to see what I was watching on television, so I had to put one to do the So at one point I had four cams in this one room. And I used to get snarky messages from her all the time wanting to know if I was going to go out looking like that or if I just want to brush my hair before I left the house. Yeah, but I think she was really the only one to watch it for a long time. But it's always been public. It's always been available. And
what about odd people? Because the internet is full of odd people.
I do get a lot of odd people. It's funny. It goes in.
I mean, apart from us, I mean.
Well, yeah, but you guys really aren't measuring up to as odd as it gets. But it goes in waves. I'll go 2 or 3 years without having anybody say anything, and then I'll hit a year where I get all kinds of odd phone calls. I don't get very much odd email. And that may be because my spam filters pick it up. And my name and address and telephone number are also public on the web. But they're not as easily found. But people have, my telephone number is the same one I've had for 21 years, and it's publicly available. So I guess that's how they get that. But they call me. And sometimes it's very odd. I've had... a couple of months ago, I had a guy call me every night for, I don't know, it seemed like it was forever, but it was probably just about a week and a half. And he was mostly pretty horrified that I wasn't horrified. I mean, he would call and he would very graciously tell me what I was wearing, which I thought was good information to have. And he would tell me what I was watching on television. Again, I appreciated the information. And he, but he never, finally he was asked me, what if I did something, what if I was naked in my living room and somebody saw me? I get that question an awful lot. And he kept trying to make me horrified. And finally I said, if it bothered me to have people look at me, I wouldn't have webcams in my living room. And it took me about, I would say that to him almost every time he called, and finally one day I guess it finally dawned on him because he stopped calling. I kind of missed him after a while. And then I had a guy call me, this has been almost a year now, a guy called me and he was just furious. He was really angry, and I could never figure out why he was angry, but he was angry that I had, that anybody could see this webcam. And I asked him how did you find it? And he says it's on a website called Opentopia. And so sure enough, I went to Opentopia, and there I are. And not only that, on Opentopia, they have a comment section. So I found all of these people talking about me, which was pretty hilarious. And so finally, they kept asking so many questions, and they were very nice people and very interesting questions, and they couldn't figure out what things in the room and what I was doing and what the cat's name was and stuff like that. So finally one day I just logged on and said, I'm her, what do you want to know?
Have you ever thought of going to Reddit and doing an Ask Me Anything?
No, actually I haven't. I can't imagine anybody would be that interested. But then on Opentopia, I was kind of surprised they were that. And there are people that come there and they check on me every day. I mean, the good news is I live by myself. I don't have any close relatives around, and so if I drop dead in the living room, I'm not going to be lying there very long. Somebody's going to come after me. But the other thing is, I have a brother. My brother lives in Texas, which is about 2,000 miles away, and he has a PC repair shop, and he has a webcam in his tech room where his technical people work, and they have a monitor with my webcam on it, so we see each other every day, and I can hear and they can hear. So it's kind of just like having an open telephone line up all the time. That's kind of nice.
Do you have real-time traffic that you can see, so you can see when no one's watching? And
not anymore. I used to use a piece of software, and I don't even remember which one it was, but it gave me. I had the ability to see who was on. Oh wait, no, I can't see that with my current software, I think. But I set it up so that it would ding every time somebody opened up a web page with the webcam on it. And so when it would ding, then I would wave. And so pretty soon that turned out to be a little bit silly because I was just sitting here all night long just waving my voice. But the best one was I had a friend actually. He was checking the webcam with the sound on it, and I didn't know he was there. I hadn't even talked to him in a couple of weeks, and I sneezed, and he sent me a chat that said, "God bless you," and I just cracked up. That was undoubtedly the funniest thing that had ever happened. Nobody had ever done that one before. But then I got a call the other night from 3 people, a conference call. This was just last week, I guess. From a man, 2 men, at least there were, the voices that I heard was a woman and 2 men. And they were very nice, and they were very respectful, and they were very polite, and they just wanted to talk to somebody. They were like, why do you do this? So I told them, kind of a little bit about the history of it, and they said, okay, and they asked me, what if I was naked in the living room? I don't know why how many people spend a lot of time naked in the living room, but apparently a lot happens a lot. And they asked me about, didn't it bother me that that anybody could see me? And I said, well, if it bothered me, I wouldn't have the webcams on. And they were really nice, but everybody kind of expects me to be horrified that somebody's watching. And that really confuses me.
if you switch them off, actually, I'm sharing your video stream on my. Hopefully, you can see your own video stream. So that'll confuse. If you switch the cameras off, would that be scary to you? After so long of having them there, would you feel kind of lonely or something?
Oh, that's a good question. I think I would miss my brother not being able to see me. But yeah, and the people I feel kind of a responsibility to keep them on, actually. I don't know that I would feel, I don't really pay attention to them very often. I don't, it doesn't really occur to me that they're there until somebody calls me or sends me an email or a chat that says, God bless you. So I don't know. No, I don't think I would feel lonely, but I would miss my brother, and he would miss me. If the one that you're showing now. Oh, wait a minute. I can't. Oh no, the one you're showing now is the one with sound. The other one is it goes down all the time, so he's always sending me a note telling me the cam's down, so I can fix it. But I kind of enjoyed the connection with him. I don't ever get to see him very often, and so it's kind of plus it's very social, but it's not the kind of social that normal people have. I mean, I'm retired, I don't work. I spend most of my time, most of my day right here. And so it kind of gives me a way to connect with people that I don't have to connect with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just kind of, I could be a little nerdy about it. I don't have to. They can see me, they know I'm here, they know I'm fine, and I don't have to call them and tell them. And I like that part a lot.
So do you shout at the camera to get your brother's attention, or how do you?
I wave. I wave.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty much, we have a, he and I have a Google Plus channel, just the two of us.
Uh-huh.
And that's really how we communicate mostly, just little, every once in a while we'll talk on the phone, but for the most part, it's notes back and forth that way. And I can hear what's going on in his shop. He doesn't normally keep my audio up because it's a place of business, and Lord knows what I'm going to say in the middle of a day. So I can hear him, but he can't hear me. But that we communicate that way. And if I'm not here for an extended period of time and I haven't said anything about it, he will definitely be on top of it. And that kind of, I kind of like that. Plus the fact I don't have to do anything. It's real easy for me not to, I get lazy and I don't have to do anything. I kind of like being alone. Me and the cat, we don't bother anybody, But I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to tell them I'm fine. They can see it.
Yep. And a little bit off topic, but I hope the guys will indulge me. You worked at Microsoft for a little while.
Yes,
or a
couple of times actually.
Were you coding there?
Not coding. I did. I worked on the first time I worked there, when I was a full-time regular employee, I worked on internal websites. I helped build the IT department's website for employees so that they could know. I mean, Microsoft was really a mess. I mean, it wasn't a mess. It was just very disparate. It had just now, there were about 30,000 employees, 30 or 40, I guess, at that time. And maybe half of them, or no, probably about 60% of them were in Redmond. And so dependent on our IT system, and I worked in the IT department. And so our job was to build a website so that we could get information out, because in those days, hell, their email system was down half the time internally, and their systems were real flaky and that kind of thing as they were building up. Plus the fact they were growing so fast, it was hard to keep the infrastructure up. So the internal website was my responsibility. And then I left Microsoft in 1999, I guess, 1999. And then I went back about 6 years later as a vendor and worked on a lot of the external websites, the Windows Mobile website, the Zune, I did Zune website, and several of the other external websites that they have. And nothing, I didn't do any development, I basically just did production work.
Mm-hmm. So you would have worked on that Microsoft .com version 1.
Yes, yeah.
I remember what that looked like.
Yep. Yep. The early days were rough.
And then after that, you built websites, and now you've retired. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's exactly. I basically just did websites for hire, production work. A lot of it was at Microsoft. I worked at a couple of .coms that went under, through no fault of my own, and did some communications work. In my early life, I was a speechwriter for executives. So I would write speeches for the .com people. For executives, teach them how to give speeches that aren't so nerdy. That's a good career. I worked for IBM for 15 years doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got to Seattle in the first place. But yeah, then I worked around different websites around town, then I went back and worked at Microsoft for 7 years as a vendor, and then I retired.
Yeah.
And now it's all teddy bears.
And now it's all teddy bears. I swim every day, and I knit teddy bears every day, and I play with new gadgets. I have a gadget habit.
Are you ever tempted to get into black hat SEO?
No, because I really, to be honest, I'm not smart enough. I don't know enough. My level of knowledge about it is enough to know how much I don't know. So I learned the first website I ever built was before it was right when Netscape went to 2.0. I mean, I learned to build web pages when there weren't any browsers, so there wasn't any coding you needed to do. I mean, hell, you had like 6 things you could do. You could make a font a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller, and that was about it. So I did not, and then my career-wise, I basically learned how to use esoteric tools that nobody is ever going to use again, or home-built tools that nobody even knows about, and shouldn't anyway because they were horrible. So I didn't really learn about how to code and build websites in the real world, and I don't really know much about it today. I am aware of there, and I can look at the code of a web page and see what's happening, but I'm not smart enough anymore to do it. I didn't grow as fast as the web did.
Yep. Okay. Well, look, I really would like to thank you for coming along. I hope if you have the time, we will be on air for about an hour or two. We don't put a leg rope on. You can leave at any time, but we'd be glad if you would stay with us and share our conversation.
Well, I appreciate that very much, but it's really way past my bedtime now. So I think I will say good night. But I thank you. This has been great. And if any of you ever have any questions, you know where you can find me.
Excellent. Now, just remember, we'll be checking up later. We'll be looking in the lounge room. If you're still there, you'll be in trouble.
That's so true. No, but you will see the lights go out here just momentarily. Except for the computer lights. You can see those on because they don't go to sleep.
Susan, thank you very, very much for going to the trouble to join us. We all appreciate it. I'm sure Masataki and Tony want to thank you themselves.
Yeah, lovely meeting you.
It's great.
Thank you. It's been fun. I appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Sleep well.
Thank you.
All right. Question 2 on our run list is the one KLM stalk customers via social media to perform random acts of kindness, and it's headed. That's the way it's headed, and a great way to turn influencers into advocates without even making a post themselves. There was another one another airline did a brilliant job. I think it was Alaska Airlines last Christmas, or it might have been the Christmas before last. But they interviewed people while they were in the check-in queue and asked them what they were looking for, and then while the flight was in the air, the 2-hour flight, they dispatched hundreds of people to go out and buy all of those presents and have them waiting for them while they were waiting for waiting to pick up their luggage. They came out on the carousel. That was a brilliant piece of marketing, absolutely brilliant, and put their airline on the map. I hope I got it right by saying Alaska Airlines.
No, I think it was WestJet.
Was it really?
I think it was WestJet of Canada.
Oh, WestJet Canada. Okay.
It was terrible marketing. Didn't even get the right
name. Tony, you posted this one. Did you look at this article in depth?
Yeah. I actually got this from the TV show The Gruen Transfer, and I presume it was a repeat, so I guess this stunt happened a while back. And what was interesting was the debate on the show about that these things are stunts, they do them one-off, and it's more about getting their stunt into the media than actually as an advertising thing. But I think in this case, because they are connecting with these influencers, it's something you could actually, you don't have to do it as a stunt. You could actually do this on a day in, day out basis to continually link with your customers. So I thought it was a very interesting idea.
Yeah. Well, we do something similar, Tony. We provide service. It continually surprises people. Yeah. My camera's gone on the blink again. I don't know what it is about Social Media Fridays, but it just it's totally gone again. You can't see me, can you? All I can see is my profile pic.
No, just your profile.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Okay, at least we've got somebody good looking to look at, Masataki.
Oh, excuse me.
All right, so we've looked at KLM. Mr. Yonk posted for us, headed Facebook's version of not provided. And the new Facebook login and graph API 2. I didn't get time to check this out, but it was to do with Facebook's new anonymous login. Did either of you guys get time to check this out?
I think I had a quick look, and but I didn't go into the details. I think the idea is that you've got these Facebook logins all over the internet, and people were getting concerned about when you log in that way that the websites were getting your Facebook details. So now there's a way of logging in where it's just used as a login method. There's no information passed. That was what my gist was, but I didn't really read it fully.
Is it only for apps?
Does when you log in on your own website, is that classed as an app? Or is I guess it's a login.
Yeah. No, I'm just looking at the page, the anonymous login page, and it's all mobile, so I'm just wondering.
So I might be on the wrong track there.
By the way, Tony, I mean, it's no good for Masataki because he's just woken up in frozen London. What time is it there, Masataki? About 7 a.m.?
Yeah, 7:26.
Yeah. But here in Australia, Tony, it's beer o'clock.
And you can get away without anybody seeing you.
Because my camera just stopped working.
Is that why it stopped working?
No, I swear. But I think we should have one. I've
almost finished my water, so then I can switch. It's actually very English weather today here. It's dull, miserable, and constant drizzle.
It's nice and sunny in London.
You've stolen it.
Okay, here's another one.
I wonder if it's going to be the all sign in or if it's
Andy
what's
Wigglesworth
an
is,
app
is,
in
is
the
thinking.
Facebook lingo?
Has my voice dropped off? Am I muted?
No, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
This Facebook thing's definitely across all apps. So, is it a way that you can actually the app will request permissions and you can actually say no, you can't have anything. I'm going to use you without any information, which would be nice because I hate it when they post for you.
I'd be betting that Facebook would be tracking the user's progress, though. It may be that the website that you're logging into is not tracking you. Maybe Facebook's not exposing that to them. But I'd be betting that Facebook would be keeping that data. It's too valuable to them.
Yeah, they're just not passing it on via the API to the whoever's providing the app.
Mm-hmm.
Which probably does go with your website-based logins as well, because when you log in on say my website, if I had a Facebook login, you want the right to say that all you're doing is using it as a login. You're not going to give me all your friends and that in the process. So I think it's ironic that it's got a Facebook comment feed at the end. What's that the other one? Oh no, that was the other subject.
Right. The next subject is. Did you ready to move on to the next one?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Next one was one posted by you, Tony. Headed here is the thing with social media, and Bindu Reddy originally made the share. He said I see a lot of people randomly hating on Plus. I don't. He said here is the thing with social media. Once people realise there are enough people hating on something, they all jump on the bandwagon. Same with praising something. The herd mentality is amplified and exaggerated. People don't realise that Plus made Facebook change its strategy significantly. If nothing else, it should be credited for taking one-way follow / publishing out of the small Twitter realm and making it mainstream on Facebook. It also continues to be the largest platform for certain types of interactions. It's early days in the social media world, and people's behaviour and comfort levels take years to change. And I guess he's praising Google Plus in that. Did you read the full article, Tony?
Yeah. Is that the full article? Is there an actual link? I think that's it.
You can go to his original share. I'll get you a link.
No, I can find my way. I think it does praise Google Plus a bit, but it's also using Google Plus as a way to show the general mentality of once if enough influencers say something's terrible, then 1,000 other people will follow suit. Try and find where that went. Oh, Susan's camera's gone dark. She didn't lie.
Okay, I found Bindu Reddy's article. It was just a post. It didn't go anywhere past that.
So I guess the thing is, do you think Google Plus is getting attacked a lot more because of this kind of lemming mentality of people just agreeing with people who are more important, they respect?
Well, that's true. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It's certainly that, I mean, people gravitate. I mean, it's certainly that, I mean, it's a normal human trait of character that if somebody pats you on the back, you know, you're going to stick around for another pat if you can. And if somebody is mean to you, you're going to shy away from that person. And a lot of people are followers. Very few people are leaders. So they will follow what others are doing. And so when somebody does something in the leadership line, it's not just on Google Plus that it's perfectly natural for a lot of people to fall into line behind that leader. I mean, just recently, it's been a bit nauseating. People, you know, making the most inane posts, but you know, all they're doing is expressing their willingness to follow that leader.
And there's probably the little bit of fame that they're trying to get while something's topical as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's the flip side as well, is you could consider people like on Google Plus, they're getting into defense mode, they're being attacked. So when you're in a defense mode, you will defend beyond what's rationally kind of true. So you actually go beyond the truth and start defending, saying things and pushing it because you're in a corner. I guess like a prime example for that would be like Apple fanatics, how there's nothing much you can really say to them to convince them to change their mind, even if the facts are there. Oh, I just dug at Apple. I'll get a few unlikes from that, I think.
Yeah, I think by now most people who are interested in these things have a narrative in their head. You know, they subscribe to a certain story now, and anything that happens will confirm their view in some way. So, or they reject things outright, and I think Tony's right in talking about the defense mode. So, rejecting things right out of hand. Don't believe it. It's not. To totally throw everything out. Don't consider an argument, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, I think people now have sort of decided what the story is going to be, and whatever happens is going to sort of fit into that story one way or the other. And things that don't fit in the narrative will be rejected, and they'll concentrate on the pieces that will confirm the narrative. So, for example, with Google Plus, its future, if you believe that Google Plus, if you have decided in your own mind that Google Plus is not going to succeed, then any pieces of news that is negative, generally speaking, towards Google Plus is a confirmation of your story. But if you think that,
stuff you kind of ignore,
yeah. And for those who think that Google Plus is, going to be the big thing, positive news is confirmation, and they'll reject outright any negative. So I think a lot of people have now, who are interested in these things, which probably isn't particularly a large section of the, if you like, the whole population. I think these people have decided on what they want now, or what they want to believe in, and they would just seek confirmation.
I'm a little bit different. I have a belief that Google Plus has been demoted by Google, and we're going to see elements of Google Plus survive. But I think that the news feed on Google Plus has a limited life. I don't see them spending the amount of money it must be costing to run it, and not supported by advertising and keeping people away from their search pages where they're exposed to ads. I can't see that surviving in a company which is run by Goldman Sachs. But everything that comes along that is positive about Google Plus, I can't wait to latch onto it. So I'm the opposite of that person, Masataki. I think that there is a bleak future for Google Plus. I don't see it growing. I don't see that it'll ever meet its potential. It'll ever reach its potential. It'll ever reach what it could have been. But by the same token, I want to encourage Google Plus to exist for as long as possible, because if it wasn't for Google Plus, we wouldn't have Social Media Fridays.
No. And I personally found it one of the best ways to network with the peers in the industry. Before Google Plus, there was Twitter, and you don't really connect that well with people.
Absolutely, I totally agree. It is what it is, and the way look at the group that we have around the Dumb SEO Questions community. That could never have formed in any other way but with Google Plus. There's no other social network that would have allowed it. I think Google Plus's days are numbered as far as the Google Plus that we know now. But I hope, and I don't see it changing in 1 year, or maybe 2 it might, and certainly probably will in 3. I hope that it grows. And every bit of encouragement I can give it, I will. This is not a wake, but I'm going to
from the Dejan's interview with the Bing guy, just kind of made me think that maybe in 2, 3, 4 years, this whole realm we're in is not going to be recognizable. It's with voice recognition and a lot more intelligence coming out of the search engines and things like that. But things always evolve quickly, and we just can't predict where it's going to be in a couple of years' time.
What do you think, Mr.
Predicting the future is a hazardous business that I'm not interested in. But yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. What is? It will be interesting to see in 2 years' time and looking back what we're discussing now, because I think Tony's right in that things are probably going to change, and perhaps faster than we think, anticipate, or expect. So yeah, we have to see. So the ultimate fudge comment.
I think one area Google's already going in is this mixing of social with everything else. It's not just your little Facebook social friend thing, but you've got social's becoming part of the YouTube thing, it's becoming part of the search thing, it's part of your website, it's it's getting into everything. So basically, the idea would be no matter where you are on the web, you can be you and say something. And it all pulls back to the one little thing, which is Google Plus in Google's case. Facebook's probably not got us in the ground because they don't have that much control of the internet. But they're all spreading their wings and trying to get outside of just their own area. Is Facebook working on a search engine? Did they announce one? Future idea?
Yes, Zuckerberg did last November, I think. But you know, surely he was just speaking to his investors.
It's a case of you know, I believe it when I see it. But yeah, they've been talking about that, and haven't they been thinking about AdSense-like system, the Facebook ads across the web, so not internally within their walls, as it were.
Oh, right. So outside Facebook.com.
Yeah. And obviously, if they could tie in the information that they have about the particular person, then they could target interest-based ads.
So putting Facebook-powered ads on websites, and you will, if people are logged in, you get that information. That could be very interesting because Facebook does have a lot more demographic data to work with on its ads.
Yeah, though, you know, whenever I log into my Facebook account, the ads are appalling. Because it's a skeletal account, so I think they must be doing it by gender and age group, right? So the three ads I always see are steroids, credit card, and dating sites, and that's it.
Mine's over 40 dating sites. That's about it.
I don't let them track me, so all I see are the crappiest. They get even with you, Google. If you don't let them track you, they get even with you by sending you the crappiest ads known to man. And so yes, I mean, I often think of getting a ad blocker as well. Let me see what I'm looking at. Give an example. Where will I go?
So are you anonymous on Google most of the time as well?
No, I actually search logged in, but there is a way to turn off tracking just for your advertising.
Oh, that could explain something. I've had trouble trying to see the adverts I do for my clients for a while. I wonder if somehow I've got it's picked up maybe IP address or something to say don't send my clients' adverts to me.
Yeah, it might be.
I guess with Facebook stuff, we're leading on to that other article, which was about the company that has decided to leave Facebook a couple of months ago.
Oh yeah, that was a great article. I remember reading the first part when it first came out. Actually, that's on my list. That is article number. It must be still looking. Here we are. It's article number 10. So we'll skip down to that if you like, Tony.
I think it kind of leads on to it, doesn't it?
Pardon?
It leads on to it.
This was
on Facebook.
Yeah, from eat24hours.com, who sent a breakup letter to Facebook. So you've had a look at both of them. Tell us what you found with that.
So it's quite a long article as far as I remember. But basically, the story. Actually, a thing that caught my interest was one of the posts in it that there's all these companies that are paying advertising on Facebook to get likes, and now likes have been devalued because Facebook's not. They're splitting out the companies from the people's feeds, so you're getting less and less appearances in people's feeds. So they're basically taking your money, and then you've assumed you're going to get all these likes, you're going to get this natural traffic from the likes, but then they've cut that off, and those likes are getting close to worthless, as some people think. So this particular company has basically got a very entertaining article saying all this sort of stuff about why Facebook's basically pissed him off. And at the end, they just said, right, we're shutting it down in a couple of weeks. You got your last chance to say something on our page, and then it's gone. So, yeah, the article was written really well, entertaining. But the basic message is Facebook screwing companies.
Yeah, well, and these weren't small-time players. Their budget last year, Masataki, was $1 million.
Wow.
So yeah, they weren't just some guy that got his nose out of joint. When you're spending $1 million, you'd have a fairly considered view of by leaving them, you're virtually saying that you wasted that previous $1 million, or at least it's certainly not worth adding another $1 million.
So imagine $1 million to get people connected with your Facebook page, and that connection has been devalued by I don't know, but from what everybody's saying, they're just not getting any visibility without paying more. So now the like has no value. You just have to keep paying and paying and paying. Be like Google AdWords, I guess. Is everybody gone?
I'm still here. I've just been contacted by Elliot, though. I've just got to help him out, and I'll be straight back with you guys.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
I think Facebook are facing a bit of a backlash at the moment, so they might have to get the balance right so that companies don't disappear, because they need this advertising revenue, and the companies have got to be there, but they can't just rip away what value that these companies had in the past just to get money.
yeah, and I think I suppose more companies will now be looking more carefully at their ad spend on Facebook, thinking, right, okay, so how much is Facebook generating for us?
And that's pretty hard to determine.
So that there's sort of, in that sense, there's opaqueness about it, isn't there? Compared to, say, AdWords. AdWords, at least you get clear numbers.
Yeah, because in the past, people would do value based on likes. Then they started getting a bit clever and started thinking about interaction. So a like that never interacts is no value, but if they start interacting, then it has value. But now that the interactions are disappearing again because you're not getting that presence, the only way to get interaction is paying for it again. It's they've got to work out the value thing.
Yeah.
There's no value in likes or less value in likes. One area I do is I see what traffic comes from Facebook to a client's website, because most of them that is the bottom line, and it can be a lot of effort for very little traffic. And those adverts you pay for are several steps away. They're there to get people onto the Facebook page, and then after that, you're trying to get them onto your website.
Yeah, so it's an indirect way in a sense, isn't it?
There's quite a funnel involved.
Yeah.
And I guess Facebook, the value it has is that you can reconnect. Once someone's liked you, you've kind of got, it's like an email list. You've got this email list, but at the moment, when you post to your email list, they don't see it.
Yeah, there's the reach issue, isn't there? So
yeah, they probably just have to keep playing with it and getting the balance right. Because yeah, if people start coming out with reports saying that they're not getting any revenue from Facebook anymore, and these will be the big companies that can do those calculations. The small ones will follow suit, like we were saying before. They go, well, if they can't make money, it's a waste of time us spending money on it as well. So yeah, I think they'll get a bit of a backlash for a while. Maybe it distracts people from their privacy issues.
That's one way of thinking of it.
Another post, I think I just did. Oh yeah, from Andy Beale, was interesting about the presence of marketers compared to actual people. So you've got Facebook actually does quite well there. That there's plenty of people on there. The problem now is that you can't actually connect with them. While on things like Google Plus, the balance is more on the marketer side. But at least when you're marketing in Google Plus, people can see what you're doing. If they circle you, your post will show up. Or actually, I'm not sure on what Google Plus is like on the algorithm, but I guess it depends on how much noise a person has, whether you show up or not. And what was there's another one, just bringing it up. Some of these social media channels just seem to be where all the marketers flock to and no actual real people are actually using it. Like Instagram. I don't know where this data came from, but it's showing only 6% of real people actually use Instagram. The rest are just people marketing on it.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I don't know where the source is there. Yeah, it's not obvious. So Facebook does well because obviously we know real people are on it.
Yeah.
Twitter's the next best, showing 39% of real people actually have an account on it. I guess 39% who were asked in the survey. And both Facebook and Twitter, almost every company's on there. And then it goes on to Google Plus is down at not so many real people, but still 23% is not bad. And 61% of actual companies have got on there. And yeah, because it's easy for a company to just get on all these social accounts, whether they do anything valuable, it's pretty rare. But is it worthwhile? Like Tumblr is 7% of people follow with a Tumblr account. So is it worth you putting money, marketing money into that sort of thing? So maybe Twitter's the winner at the moment.
As Masataki said last week, Twitter is the one that you go to if you really want to hear the news. Like just today, a couple of young fellas, one 26, one 24, were arrested in a joint operation from ASIC and the Australian Federal Police for manipulating or getting insider trading early data through. One was a government employee, and they got early data through on the Australian dollar, and they'd managed to earn themselves $6 million over the last 4 years by trading in foreign currency derivatives. But anyway, the news first broke on Twitter, and before it was anywhere else. It was on Twitter, and so yeah, that's where the news is. You wouldn't be, trolling Google Plus. You certainly wouldn't be trolling Facebook. All you'll find out is who chunned it at the nightclub last night. You're not going to hear anything serious from Facebook.
And Twitter is probably the only one where a company is on a completely level playing field to a person, because there's no distinction there. You're the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Jim, I just moved on to the infographic about from Andy Beale, so you can tick that one off.
I ticked that one off. That was number 11. How marketers use social media is not normal. It's okay. I'm keeping up. All right. Did you want to move on to another one?
Yeah, go for it.
This one I don't know anything about. Edwin Yong posted it. Oh, sorry about that noise, guys. The Snapchat version of Hangouts. Did you know anything about that article?
Not me.
No.
Okay, well, look, let's pass on that one. Let's look at another article from Tony McCreath, another infographic, where you should post your status. A funny but true social media pick. My view on it would be, I see the need for some of them to be there, but I don't know what Foursquare is all about. It certainly hasn't taken off in Australia. You seeing it in the UK, Masataki?
I'm vaguely aware of its existence.
Yeah, that's it.
No, I think some people do use it, and I think it's one medium where if people get into it, they use it quite intensively. That's my impression. I've sort of looked through a bit, and that has been my impression. That there's some people who really like to really share their locations, what they do, those kind of things. I think it has a strong core of users.
Mm-hmm.
I'm one of them.
Okay.
So I check in everywhere, especially when I'm traveling. It's because you can basically check in and auto post to Facebook, so you can kill two birds with one stone. And post a photo on Facebook. It tells your friends where you're actually at, and you can put a little comment on. So I tend to do that, and it gamifies. So I've got lots of badges now, and so I think it was a different article that was specifically about Foursquare are now splitting their system up. So half of it's going to be for people like me, and then the other half is going to be for people trying to find businesses. So it's going to be a local business finder, which I think is a kind of good move. They are two different uses of the same data set. So, and I think the problem they've had is the people like me who get into check-ins are a small minority, whereas their bigger market is the information they've gathered from people like me. So I think they're being quite clever in actually leveraging the data and then becoming a local business source. So we'll see what happens there.
All right, something's just dawned on me as we've been talking here. I'm trying to imagine somebody who's watching Social Media Fridays because they need to get a handle on what social media is and how it's going to fit in with their business. And they see this infographic. It's got Google+, Foursquare, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. What message can we give those people when they're looking at it and thinking, oh God, how am I going to cope with that?
Well, what are you using social media for? I mean, I suppose I would start with that question.
Are you talking to me?
No, generally speaking. No, because there are so many, and you can't possibly spend sufficient amount of time to be proficient in all of them. You could try, but I don't think you'll succeed. So in a sense that you have to choose the platform which suits your needs best, and your need depends on what you want, doesn't it? So.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think that relates to another post. The way I say most businesses I work with don't have the resources or time to do social stuff, and it's another infographic. And yeah, it's true. You want to find where your audience is and be there. It's so if Foursquare's nothing to do with you, if you're not a local business, just ignore that one, because that one's all about local. You need to be a local business where people can come in and visit, and then Foursquare can be a way to connect with them. There's not actually much a business can do on Foursquare apart from fill in their details. So, Jim, do you think we need to work on what the identity of this community is?
I don't think so. I'm more than happy with. Well, this is the way I see us heading anyway. Tell me if I'm mad or not. But there are plenty of people that specialise. I don't think we need to do that. I think we as observers really only need to discuss and give our opinions of what we're seeing, what we see developing, what we see as a need for a person to do, and to give it our stamp of approval, if you like. And people won't rely on us to be absolutely right all of the time. We're just saying it as we see it. I don't think we need to be experts.
Oh, good.
You do?
No, I just said, oh, good.
Well, I don't think we need to be. I mean, we're in the business, and we see what is working and what isn't, and we hear enough via informed sources to know what's going on. I think all we have to do is sit back, relax, enjoy ourselves, and impart what we see is right. I mean, there's so much bullshit out there. Our little bit of truth might shine a line through it. Do you guys see it any other way?
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah, and like I'm looking at the social media Fridays community. It's a means for us to gather. It's like our news roundup for the WCA questions community. It's a means for us to gather and share amongst ourselves through the week new developments and discuss and become aware ahead of time of what we'll be talking about, so that we don't come across as complete Charlies. So I see that I'm not concerned if we don't end up with 10,000 members of the social media Fridays community, although it would be nice if the viewers that are watching us right now would like to do a search for social media Fridays and find our community and join. That would be cool. But I don't think we need to chase any numbers. I think that there's certainly enough developing every week for us to talk about. We don't need to force what we're doing. I think it's going to be all we can do to keep up.
Yeah, it is good to it's making me focus a bit on when I see a social media article to put it up there and think a little bit more about it than I would normally do, because it is, as an SEO, it is a kind of sideline interest rather than core. So it's pulling it closer in for me.
But also in SEO, I mean, our clients we have to drag them kicking and screaming towards social media, and I've learned so much just from the first three Hangouts. We have viewers, but even if we didn't ever have a viewer, it would still, these meetups would be valuable for me.
Can I see viewers as well, or is that only God?
No, only the person that starts the Hangout can see it. Can one of our viewers send Tony McCreath a message? He doesn't believe you exist.
I'm waiting. We're not continuing until I get that message.
Okay. All right.
They'll have to find me, I guess.
We don't stop talking, they'll drop off.
Nothing like putting pressure on a viewer. or the two.
You really don't want to say anything until you get a response, or can we go on with another question?
To the next question.
Well, this one is related. This was posted by you too, Tony. It was a post of a share from Max Minzer. Foursquare splits the baby in two. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure you will.
Oh yeah, I referenced that just earlier. That so Foursquare is traditionally just a go to a pub and check in, take your photo thing. But now they're moving to create another. In fact, I think they're moving the check-in part into a new name. I wrote it down somewhere. Swarm. And Foursquare itself is going to start becoming more of a source for local businesses. And what will make them unique is that it is full of people's comments and reviews and pictures for all these local businesses. So they've already got this information to make them provide more information than the average business does. And so people on Swarm will be the ones that create the information, while people on Foursquare are the ones that will consume it. And hopefully they'll make money from that. So that's about what that one's about.
Mm-hmm. All right, and another one. Sorry about that. I'm trying to do two things at once here. Another post. Not sure. Okay. Do you remember the post you made just after last week's hangout on vintage social media? And you said, as was said, Google Plus does not fit an existing need, so why use it? And I think I responded to you because it's the easiest way of continuing to keep contact with the connections that and the relationships that have been made via Google Plus, relationships that wouldn't have been made if Google Plus didn't exist. So, of course, that's the reason to continue to use Google Plus.
Yeah, it was on the picture they had there. They kind of correlated all the different social media things to something you used before social media. And so the thought I had was, is there something you can put Google Plus on it? Is it your address book then? Is it your or is it a bit of all of them? So it's kind of not quite got a focus. It's not really targeting anything.
Look, I think Google Plus is the town hall where people go to discuss and debate. People go to check credentials.
And a big store of your information. Yeah, looking at the diagram.
If it wasn't for Google Plus, I wouldn't know Tony McCreath. I wouldn't know Masataki Wasa.
And we found each other via, probably before the communities. It's just following connections.
Hmm.
Which it does very well, that. And repeatedly seeing someone until you can't forget them.
Yep.
Yeah, but I think it's an interesting question, isn't it? Because if you say, okay, X is or X does Y, and I think Google Plus does struggle in that sense, because it is a bit of everything. It's been integrated with various different Google products, which are huge on their own, as it were. You take YouTube, for example, the comment integrations and so forth. When you think about it, YouTube is a huge, huge platform. And so were the Picasso web albums, for example. Again, that's been integrated into Google Plus Photos. So, okay, so you could say, instead of saying, okay, you could say Instagram or Pinterest images, photos. You can't say that about Google Plus because it's one of those things that Google Plus does. It's not exactly video clips. It's not exactly finding your local business. It's not it's not like Foursquare in that sense, even though you can do that. It's not exactly about maps. So, yeah, I think there is an issue, or perhaps even an identity crisis with Google Plus, in the sense that it does too many things too well. To put it a positive spin, I think that's how you'd say, how you'd state. It does a lot of things to a degree that, better than other platforms. But they're not focused enough. They're not sort of single focus, or they can't say, okay, Google Plus is ... And I think it'd be interesting to see, if we can get people to answer that question. Ask them, to provide a ... bit, and compare with other platforms. So if you say, okay, Facebook is ... you'd have I think you will have quite a few sort of answers that are popular, or many people will come up with a similar line of thought. Probably the same with Twitter. Definitely true for, I think, for Pinterest and for Square.
Mm.
With Google Plus, I don't know what people will come up with, because I think there's so many things that you can say Google Plus is ...
And so it's hard to explain to someone what it is, because you probably explained the wrong thing. Because people go on to these things for these one feature type ideas. And yeah, Google Plus doesn't just do the one feature. Like again, YouTube in itself is, people probably don't realize they're on Google Plus when they're doing that now, even though it is so integrated. You are part of the Google Plus world. Yeah, Hangouts should. I'm surprised that they haven't got bigger and more popular, because it is better than Skype.
Yeah, I think that's the issue. If it was single product, say, if you had a sort of straight head-to-head battle, as it were, Hangout will win.
Which I kind of think the way Google Plus is succeeding is in these little areas where people find it out. People find YouTube and use it, and hopefully the idea is that once they've got the Google Plus account, they'll slowly migrate into the other parts of the Google Plus world. The Picasa stuff is another way that people, like I was on Picasa before Google Plus happened, and that's now integrated in. And as your article shows, you can even use that to increase your views, which is cool.
Oh yeah.
I guess another pull-in is the Google Places. So the people are already going to Google to see business information. So that's pulling businesses in to fill in the details there. So they've got all these little angles that are pulling people in a bit, but they don't seem to get beyond their little world of Google Plus. They kind of get stuck in their corner and just do what they need.
Yeah.
There's a post that ties in with this. Can I introduce it?
Yeah.
This is the post made by Tony McCreath in Join Now, Share Later, and was pointing out about how somebody went to so much trouble taking the photo of the rainbow. It was a double rainbow, and they went to all the trouble of doing it and filtering it and sending it off, and then realised that while they were doing all of the sharing, the rainbow was gone, and they'd missed the simple enjoyment. Yeah, it's an issue, isn't it?
And I'm seeing that video going. It's gone viral all over the internet. Seeing a lot of it on Facebook via friends and things.
Yeah, things didn't happen unless there's a photographic evidence nowadays.
Like even a while back, like when I travelled with just an old disposable camera, I deliberately avoid being the tourist with a camera, because you can see it through a lens even if you're not there. You got to look at it spend that time looking at it in your own eyes, and 10 years later, and it's just gone crazy with everybody's got a camera now, and they're going to concerts and looking into the into their phone to see the show rather than actually seeing the show while they're there. It's progress for you. So we should just stop talking while and go into the real world. Apart from it's raining.
Sorry, I was muted. I was having a lovely chat to myself then.
All right. Was it
Well,
interesting?
well, I think it was. I can't remember now. You know me. I mean, I can't remember what I did 10 seconds ago, let alone a minute ago. But let's move on. We've gone all the way back to that covered that. Let me just find another one that we haven't covered. I think we've covered them all.
Mm.
Yeah, I think we might have. Yes, I've got a tick across every one of our 11 items today.
Cool.
Is that something that come up that we didn't put into our community?
This week I updated my website, and I was playing about with how I would use social media within the website. So you got your traditional, you got your buttons at the top or icons at the top to go to your Facebook page and things like that. And I actually decided to look at the statistics, and I found out that only 0.01% of people actually ever bother clicking on those icons that I've currently got. And so I decided to demote them and clean up my website, and I've stuck them in the footer, but they're not getting pride of place anymore. They're just cluttering up the interface. I thought that was quite interesting that for a website, for a business website, are you actually getting anything from putting all this social stuff on your website? And so I worked out those didn't work. For me, social sharing did, so that stayed there as a core part.
Yeah, I mean, it is an interesting one, isn't it? Because if you're going to share, are you going to use the buttons that are on the site? Because people who want to share things will share. Will copy the address or whatnot.
Yeah, that's true. I tend to do that.
Yeah, so I tend not to use the buttons on the site. If I like something, then I will, copy the address.
One other use I've found, in fact, in the past, some of these buttons will actually give you a counter. So you'd have 200, 100, and 5. So what I actually did was I only actually showed the share buttons if they had good counts. Mm-hmm. So that to make the page look, you don't want a count of 0 because that makes the page look unpopular. But once it's accumulated a count, I'd actually put the buttons in there. Now I have all the buttons there, but they're at the end of the article, so it's only seen by people who've read it. Now, that's the sort of thing I guess a bigger website can do testing. I looked at 4 years in the past to see how useless those buttons were being. So now in fact, I found out that the local search button was used a lot. So that's got the pride of place now. That's up at the top because that's what people want to use. And the social buttons have moved down. I also found I've integrated the Google Plus comments, and what I really like about that was as soon as the system's in there, it pulls any previous comment related to that article into the comment stream. So you've instantly got an interesting set of comments. Well, as long as your articles have got some interest in them. Yeah, so it's added more. At the end of the article, there's a lot of things like it's been socially shared, left, right, and center. Then you've got a whole heap of comments underneath to kind of give the article more credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that works, anyhow.
Yep.
That's what I did this week, anyway. So are we done?
I'm not sure if. Well, I had another question for you, though, Tony. Was it you that was looking at new tools this week, new SEO tools, or not? Oh no, it was Tim. It was Tim. It's all right. Tim's been emailing me.
I'm always playing, testing out new ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what we have one viewer that we haven't managed to offend or otherwise bore to death. We may have bored them to death. They may be unconscious at the keyboard right now. But
they need a webcam.
Hey, what did you think of that Susan Dennis? Eh? What a card.
Yeah. She's still asleep.
Yeah. Well, if you think we've done enough for this week, we can sign off.
Yeah, I'll just share her webcam on the community page, just so if anybody's interested in watching a dark room.
Yeah.
Or connecting up there. Just don't send her too many freaky phone calls. There you go.
Excellent. How do you think we're going, Masataki?
Yeah, I think we're going well.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Score out of 10.
Ooh, tough. I think
I'm giving us a 9 and only deducting. Is that a beer that you're having there, Tony McCreath?
Yeah, a bit left. Well, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Mm.
Just the remnant.
That's a Cooper's Pale Ale, I take it, is it?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll get sponsors when we get more than one viewer.
How about that, Masataki? I can see it 2,000 kilometres away. Masataki?
Yeah?
I say I can see that beer 2,000 kilometres away and recognise it. But
that's good brand recognition.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's nothing clever. It's just that Cooper's is not like translucent. You can't see through it. It's actually if you put a spoon in that glass, it would stand straight up.
Yeah, you have to roll the glass before you drink it to. Is it the sediment? To sort out the sediment on it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's really cloudy, so it's the only beer that I'd be able to recognise. Anyway, well, look, let's close this one off and promise to do better next week. For the person still watching, thank you very much. It's your support that makes what we do worth doing, and we'll promise to do better next time. Just